Hello and welcome to MOTH News Live. It is 11:09. It is the 21st of November, 2025. How are you? We're all well here in the studio. Thanks for asking. We didn't ask? Thought I heard something there. Let's do some news in brief. Ireland's World Cup playoff path has been confirmed. The draw for the 2026 World Cup playoffs has been made, and Ireland's road to the tournament is now clear. Ireland will face Czechia in the semi-final on March 26th. I think we've got a good record against Czechia when they were the Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia. I think we've played them 8 times in total, won 4, drawn 2, lost 2. So they've got one good player, Lewandowski. No, that's Poland. Okay, now I've just shown how much I know about football, so I'm going to quickly move on. If we win, we'll host the playoff final on March 31st against either Denmark or North Macedonia. John O'Shea, who is involved in the Irish team as coaching staff, says home advantage, it could be decisive, but only if Ireland do the business in March. So we have to beat Czechia. Don't need to worry about Denmark or North Macedonia until we do that. Some Irish teens are suing the state over climate targets. A group of Irish teenagers have filed a High Court case claiming the government's revised climate action plan breaches both the Constitution and EU law. They argue the plan is too vague. Our government being too vague and fails to set out a credible path to hitting Ireland's 2030 emissions targets. The state says it will robustly defend its plan against a bunch of teenagers. I'm definitely going to put my money on the teenagers. Right, let's turn to something that matters for every journalist or every taxpayer. And actually, I was going to go to you, Oscar, for your freedom of information request system, how to do, but we're gonna skip that for a moment because we should have Al on the line. Before we get to Al, you're Denmark. You've got Denmark connections.
I'm half Danish. Yes,
you're half Danish.
If we
top half, bottom half.
Top half.
Top half. So when Ireland beats Czechia, I expect you to wear a Danish jersey in the studio.
I'll be here, and I'll bring a Viking helmet as well.
It's okay, and that's you're definitely going to wear that on the top
and
half.
some like ale horns. Yeah.
That's why the top half is Danish. I get it. We have Al. Al is somewhere in the world. We can't reveal either his real name or his location because they're after him. Al, how are you?
Hey, Keith. They're not after me. I'm after them.
just because you're paranoid don't mean they're not after you. Isn't that what?
We're coming for them. We've already successfully took one guy down, right?
Yeah,
going down, man.
We're coming for more. Do you want to talk about the Jeff Leo? Speaking of taking men down, do you want to talk about the Jeff Leo High Court case first, or do you want to give us an update on the other examinership story that's ongoing?
I'll cover our resident Dick of the Week first.
Dick of the Week.
That's a beefy one. So
okay, can I play this clip then, and then you can come in?
Yeah, I think so. I do.
Is that all right with you? Okay,
yeah.
Let's have this. This is from Dáil Éireann. You know what Dáil Éireann is, Oscar, don't you?
Yeah, the Irish Parliament.
Man, yes!
On Monday of this week, the High Court quashed the Section 5 declaration as it applies to Dundrum House Hotel. This site is no longer planning compliant, yet we maintain a multi-million euro IPAS contract with a company whose shady business dealings are currently before the High Court. No accountability, no transparency, no due diligence. And Tánaiste, this is not about IPAS, it's about the taxpayer. It's about the people of Dundrum. Since we entered into this contract, we've lost the golf course. 780 members can no longer drive a golf ball on the golf course. We lost all the ancillary activities as well. So Tánaiste, it's about standing up for the proud people of Dundrum. More importantly, it's about standing up for the taxpayer. And I would ask that this multi-million euro contract is brought to a halt.
I want to thank Deputy Murphy for raising, as he has on many occasions, this issue in the House, and I won't, for understandable reasons, comment on matters that I know are subject of a commercial dispute before the courts. But I do understand the Minister O'Callaghan has agreed to meet with you next week to discuss the broader matter that you're raising on behalf of the people of Dundrum. I must say, when I've been in your constituency, I've met many local people, many local, kind, decent people, wanting to have a conversation in relation to this issue. I also think it raises the broader issue as we form our new national migration policy, which we must do because immigration is a good thing, but so too are rules and structures, we need to move away from the reliance on hotels and private facilities as well, which is, I think, causing real difficulties and challenges, particularly in rural Ireland. So we'll ensure you have the meeting with the Minister for Justice next week, and I'll continue to engage with you on this.
You're a big rugby fan, aren't you, Al? Have you ever seen a sidestep like that? I mean, unbelievable. If anybody wants to get into politics, that's a lesson in how not to answer a question.
I don't think that's even described as a sidestep. Do you remember there's a famous event where Donnacha O'Callaghan was doing a line out and his shorts came off and he just continued on playing and running around the place and pretended the shorts never came off.
And he wasn't just.
I describe it more like that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
If he was standing in the schoolyard, somebody had pulled down his pants and he's pretending that his pants are still on, right? I mean, it's like just. I mean, we've spoken about this. We've nearly exhausted this conversation until the fact that it's actually come to fruition. I was even down my own sanity with this at one stage, right? Where and look again, just putting it out there, all of the same journalists silent again, right? No mention, Charlie Taylor, no story to see here. I have a copy of the messages exchanged with him where he said he'll only report on it when there's a story. Yeah, no mention of it. Ian Curran, no picture of Jeff Leo anywhere. Like, you know, again, the balance of this disproportionate to what they've reported on before. And look, you know, I think that the if we took all of the hype away from it, which there's a lot around this particular story, look at what Simon Harris has said. We have to come away from the private companies facilitating this process. We only just spoke about it a couple of weeks ago in terms of there's an element of people making a lot of money in the background here. This is on the back from just purchasing a hotel for over 100 million euros to do that very thing. So it's like, now he just decides, so like, at what stage is somebody going to call bullshit on this guy? So he's the guy responsible for the children's hospital fiasco. Now he's sitting there defending, you know, he can't speak about the case. Of course you can speak about the case. It's in the public domain. What a load of bullshit.
It is a classic line. Isn't it, Oscar? That thing of like, I can't speak about this.
What does that even mean, right? I mean, but
he says it in a way that, like, obviously I can't speak about this because it's an ongoing case. That line is so, like, it's such bullshit. Yeah,
it's just pathetic.
There are, but this is out there. Like, the Journal have reported on it. The facts are there. You can comment on it. I'm sure there are things about the case that you can comment on it. I'm sure you can't say things that are untrue about the case. I'm sure you can't say things that you heard from Johnny Five Bellies down the pub about the case.
I think the biggest thing is from their accountability is the following, right? So I don't know if you've ever gone through any kind of, you know, government funded scheme or procurement process or e-tender, or, you know, where you're essentially getting access to funds, right? Now, the contract for this is somewhere upward. It's close to 500,000 a month. That's what people are not speaking to, right? So it's 500,000 a month going into this group. He's associated with a few other groups, right? Okay. The company that's involved, he you know, the founder or the individual that's involved has not done tax returns in 6 years. His auditor has said that, you know, he's thrown him under the bus. In terms of Jeff Leo, left Jeff Leo through the auditor on the bus saying, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I've nothing to see here, right? But if you just take all of the stuff out of it and just look at that specific point, it's baffling everybody. And I've spoken to quite a few people about this. As it, you know, how is it that a company could even secure the contract in the first place? And if you remember, Oscar, you asked that question, how would one get access to this essentially a blank check type setup, right? Where you're essentially your hotel is booked out indefinitely, you're paid at max capacity, and you're not talking about a couple of grand here, you're talking like millions and millions of euros, right? Okay. He got the contract awarded even in that state of play. He had a well-known liquidator, John Healy, who's liquidated Altada and the Wennings Holdings company, took on the liquidation. He's the revenue commissioner's liquidator. And he took on the liquidation on behalf of a guy that hadn't done his tax returns in 6 years, right? Moved all the assets out. So it's 42 to 60 million, somewhere in between has gone missing, right? Then not only had he the contract has continued on during all of this process, even with all of the debacle and the controversy around him as an individual. So that has continued on paying, right? And then in the middle, there's people's lives here, right? Like there's people in there, in that facility that have come to,
and the village and the people who live in Dundrum,
and the people who live, and the people and the citizens of that county, and that
the town, yeah.
right. So like they're just ignored, swept aside, all the protests. Oh yeah, I've met some very nice people down there. What the fuck's the guy talking about, right? And then if you look at it, he went on the stand and then just lied, continually lied, didn't do this, didn't do that. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Even despite all that stuff happening, he then still managed to create a Phoenix company, a holding company called Utmasa, which he is a secret 50% owner of this company with his wife, and get the contract awarded again.
This is the Spanish company that now own that Dundrum.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
So Juanita or whatever, and she has an office in Spain, and
it's come out in Discovery that he is 50% owner of that company, even though he denied it categorically. And then not only that, so that's one track. Now let's just look at it from the height. How did that guy get that contract again and again? Right now, you step sideways. Not only that, he was able to put it into a facility that is just not equipped to handle that amount of people safely. No planning permission. It's a heritage building. It's derelict. We had a video footage shared with us showing the state of disrepair of this place, right? Okay. And yet this guy has got his team of professionals around him who've been mentioned openly. Bernard Brogan, Dynasty GA, a guy, David Lestrange, established corporate finance and accountant firm, right? Going up and defending him, right? So, like, at the end of the process, is there going to be any justice at all? We don't really know. But ultimately, what is this demonstrating once again? That we've got major problems in Ireland in relation to transparency, conduct of these guys, and it's all deflective in terms of, mainstream media barely reporting on it, right? They're not getting in deep under the hood to say, okay, look, we missed it. We let this guy off the hook for the last.
And once again, we're looking at oversight of the state contracts. State contracts being given out willy-nilly, and there's no oversight, and they don't have any teeth when it comes to clamping down on these facilities not being up to standard. We spoke to a resident of Dundrum House before, and she was talking about how it was still being built as they arrived. The people. So here's the situation, Oscar. You weren't with us. As these people were arriving, and this lady was from South Africa, and she came it was herself and her daughter, and she was escaping, violence in South Africa, and she felt her life was under threat. So she'd come to Ireland. She was looking for asylum. So while the application is being processed, she's going to stay in Dundrum House. Right, as she's arriving there, these protesters outside the gates, who are the baddies because they're going, we don't like foreigners, isn't the case. They're saying we don't. This facility is not fit for purpose. The protesters, including one who we're in regular contact with and sends us lots of information, is very helpful. They helped this lady and other ladies who are coming here seeking asylum, like from South Africa, landing in Tipperary, of all places. I mean, I never want to. I don't know, Tipperary is a great country. It's just that my grandparents are from Kilkenny, so on the hurling scheme of things, I'm more Kilkenny than Tipperary. Lands in Tipperary, they have to go in. These protesters go in with this lady and help her clean out the room and kitchen of the dust and the dirt, clean out everything. It is manky. And they give them this, like they're helping them clean out. Like these protesters are protesting against people this woman coming from there. They're in there because the place is so bad. Like that's the situation. And when you look at, and I'll admit that, like looking at this news on mainstream media, I definitely had a different view of how things were going down there than when I started looking into it and realizing what the problems were. And I think the mainstream media seem to be happy for us to think that the protesters are being racist, and then these people that are, the IPAS centers are doing all they can. And actually, there's a whole different story going on that we were just not aware of. And I mean, also you had a really good question about what he did with selling off. We'll ask the question.
Yeah.
as
So Al, you've had financial dealings in the past. I was going through
well.
this
With this man.
with this. I didn't know it was with this man, but I was going through the stuff, and then it said I can't remember which news source, but it says in 2022, Jeff Leo transferred 66% stake of the Winings couples,
The Wennings, yeah.
Wennings, sorry, in Steelworks to himself for just €1. He said for tax reasons. How above board do you feel that actually is?
No, so again, that's not even being reported correctly, Oscar. Right. So what he did was he created a company under his remit, and then brought in John Healy, who was the guy that he put into Altada as a strategic creditor. So he came into Altada, purchased the debt, post the company already being into an insolvency process, post the company already being agreed for sale in a receivership process, and still managed to convince the court to allow him as a strategic creditor, which didn't even meet the threshold of 50k. The debt was only 30k in total, to put in a liquidator who was seen as a very credible liquidator in Ireland, John Healy, part of Kirby Healy, who's now been purchased by another company called Kroll. Right? They would be seen as representing the revenue in quite a number of insolvency processes, so they'd have that credibility card, right? Okay. In parallel, while all this was going on, where he was, essentially architecting a corporate rate of Altada, which is categorically, we're proving this, and in terms of his behavior, he also appointed John Healy, the very same liquidator, to Wennings Holdings. So Wennings Holdings was the company that represented the interest of the investors from the US, who had entrusted, and this is the point, entrusted Jeff Leo with over 40 million of their family office funds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right? And his job was one very simple job, was to invest in Ireland to get them a return on their money, right?
Yep.
Somewhere in here, he convinced everybody, right? And got a liquidator to go in and liquidate the company that in 2017 had listed these assets in the form of a loan or whatever, right? Okay. In that company, and they just evaporated, which allowed him to get somebody to sign off, which is his auditors in court, Colin Malone, and his accountant, and this liquidator. Between the three of them and his legal firm, who was a guy called Mark Hick at the time, were able to show that company had no longer had those assets liquidated, and everything moved into a single entity under his name, right? So, like, Oscar, this is where we're being blinded by the mainstream media, right? Because they're making this about tax. I can tell you now, with 99% probability, that the vast majority of wealth managers and people that have built structures to assist high wealth individuals to get more efficient tax structure would be looking at saying, but that was your job. What are you talking about? That's no right or explanation for you to move their money into your own company to push the assets away from their reach. So, like, that's fraud. That's it. So, like, why? Like, you saw all the headlines about me. They had no problem calling us all fucking names under the sun because the liquidator said it, right? And they never corroborated the story. But why aren't they just saying Jeff Leo committed fraud by taking all the money off his investors? And he used these liquidators to do it. And not only that, all his accountants and his fucking legal firms and his auditors all protected him. Why? Because there's money involved in it. And that's it. Just call it as they see it. They moved the money away from him. And these investors now, and I know them, so I'm going to speak on a level. I know these people. They are very decent, hardworking people based in the US, and they trusted this guy. I know them, right? So this isn't like, oh, it's a big tycoon company that want to do this, avoid tax, and his job was to avoid the tax. He's creating this mystique of, well, I was only doing what I was told to do. They entrusted him to get a return on their money, which most high wealth individuals on the planet do with wealth managers. So this is the reality. So the moral, ethical element of this is he took their money, he paid everybody around them. Everybody around them has been making loads of money and they've been protecting him. So it's corruption. That's it. Call it as it is. Corruption, using insolvency practice, as we know, we've spoken about this a lot, to remove the assets from a company for his own benefit. And that's it.
Yeah,
And the other part of it, Oscar, just to kind of set it straight, right? Not only has he done that, in the process, he has been able to create other interests by borrowing money against those assets that he'd purchased on their behalf to leverage their money to improve his own position, and that is also illegal. I'll give an example. Money came in, hotel. He leveraged the money that they bought that hotel for in cash and borrowed against that hotel and put a lien against it. Right? That has nothing to do with tax in relation to moving their assets. That has nothing to do with their money. He is just simply using their money for other purposes without their approval.
it also doesn't sound like it benefits them at all, which is the whole point of why he was hired, correct?
There's no benefit to them. They've lost money. They've only been returned a nominal amount of money in the entire process, and they're working with this guy. I mean, I'm open to correction, close to 14 years. And not only that, Oscar, what nobody is reporting is they've now had to hire one of the top firms in the country from a corporate finance perspective, from an insolvency perspective, Interpret, from a legal perspective, Arthur Cox, and one of like Kelly in terms of her experience with one of the top barristers in the country, right? Like, this is costing them a demonstrative amount of money to pursue this guy to get their money back, and nobody's talking about that. So not only is he frustrated the courts, he's frustrated the process. It's demonstrating that Ireland is open to manipulation and corruption. And here we are, our supposed journalists that are supposed to be for the public interest are silent. Why?
But Jeff Leo has taken Ireland for a ride, and he's continuing to take, are we going to just accept the fact that this man thinks we're all fools, and aided and abetted by experts within our own financial system and people who are close to, government departments, government finance departments, tax collection departments, the revenue? Are we happy to sit back and let this man just run roughshod over all of our institutions, take us for mugs? Are the court actually going to do anything? What do you think is going to happen from here on in?
Maybe I'm being delusional, but I still have some strain of some strain of hope in me that the judge and the court see through this and just give this guy his day of reckoning and just start looking at his activities with this team. And look, we're not isolated. As you know, Al Tada was extremely public in terms of probably one of the most high profile insolvencies in the country, right? But there's loads of other companies that this team has been doing this to, right? There's loads of people out there that he's carnaged. There's another company in the US. I'm in contact with that founder all the time. He's ruined that guy's life, and all of the team. He's obviously caused the Wenning family huge amount of distress. And look, I don't care. Look, there's all sorts of conversations around their net wealth, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right? They've worked hard. They've worked hard to achieve that, and he's got no right to just dismiss their agony by saying, "Oh, they told me to do it for tax reasons, and I don't really know what I'm doing," right? And that's what he said essentially. And
the guy's barred from doing his job in America because
it doesn't surprise me.
He shouldn't be allowed to do business in Ireland. That's the mockery. It's showing Ireland up for the how we lack the teeth to clamp down on people like this and to not allow them to do business in this country at all. The man is. Is there a role in this for Enterprise Ireland? Should we be speaking to them? Should the Taoiseach not be asking them a question, or is it so far away from them being involved in the early?
Well, I don't think Enterprise Ireland, yes, in relation to what is happening to, we can dovetail into that in a second. Definitely what's happening to startups that they're invested in, where they won't get involved in any shareholder dispute.
But Enterprise Ireland weren't involved in putting people in touch with you guys, Al Tada, with regards to investment.
Sorry, in that context, yeah, but not in relation to Dundrum, which is what.
But I'm saying, to allow this man to not have done the due diligence to make sure that this man wasn't barred from doing business in America or whatever. like they did have a part to play in helping you guys, get investors at the start, and then what? They just walk away from the burning building. And
Well, he would have come in separate to Enterprise Ireland,
Okay,
but where they won't help is
Taxpayer.
when there's a nefarious activity or shareholders are misbehaving and maliciously bringing companies down, which doesn't, dovetailing into that in terms of the current situation with Syntopica, which is again, investors go in, Enterprise Ireland won't help, the shareholders want the company, they're taken out the other side. We do have information that the bidders are exactly as we suspected, the very people that put in the examiner, the very people that want the technology, they're in bidding now again for the company at a write down. I mean, that had a huge opportunity. It's a fantastic team, fantastic technology. And again, it's our ecosystem of angel investors and other companies that come in with like just usury terms. And I know we kind of said publicly during the week as a group that even the terms in this convertible loan note would fucking embarrass Alan Merriman for Eggstone. And what would embarrass Alan Merriman from Eggstone probably kill most people. Like, it's just absolutely extraordinary that these guys can get into a company for what is a relatively nominal amount of a couple of million euros, and it's similar to ourselves, and put themselves into a position where they push the founders into a diluted minority shareholding position and just absolutely destroy the company to get the stuff out the other side. And it's happening wholesale, right?
And where are we at with that? And obviously then we're Enterprise Ireland going, well, we've nothing to do with that, disputes between investors, and we just introduce, we just set up the blind days, and then you guys, it's up to you guys what you do within your relationship in the bedroom.
Well, I think the problem is you end up in that black hole or wormhole of, you're into the process where you're kind of there isn't really an outcome of success, because even if you win, you don't really win, because it's sucked the business. You're tarnished as being shitty at your job. The mainstream media attack the founders. They don't actually attack, like, they'll never report on the bad actor behavior of the investors and shareholders ever. It'll always be, oh, the company's in the terror. It's hopelessly insolvent is one of the headlines. And I had the exact same headline, which I know it's
how can you be more insolvent than insolvent? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, you're hopeless. You're just hopeless. Like, that's it. It's hopelessly insolvent. It's like, you're insolvent, you're fucking not. Like,
it's like saying 200%. You know what I mean?
That hyperbole doesn't make sense. I remember reading that, like, one of those articles. Like, it's just doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't
like,
make sense.
The whole death of a unicorn, like, where are we going?
It's just the only tactic. And as I said, look, we're still living that every day with the articles online. Like, I mean, I think, like, there's no accountability for MSM. There's no corroboration of story. There's no defamation process where you can go back at the mainstream media and say, this needs to be removed. They won't update the articles either, in terms of, even when there's an update, they'll just write on top of it again and keep ranking the content. So this is an indigenous, but this is an ongoing issue anyway, right? But I think
for you guys, practically, when you're out there trying to do business and somebody looks up your name or looks up whatever, and these articles are all still there, even though none of it's true, and these guys and people you're dealing with don't have time to look into it, and they have to take your word for it or not take your word for it. So it's still causing problems for you, which absolutely has to be against any moral etiquette, like, when it comes to journalism, you'd imagine.
I don't see this problems. I see it as, look, it's a process, and generally people will make up their own mind on it very quickly. Like, but you'd want your fucking head examined if you believe anything in the mainstream media at this stage. Like, their credibility is shot, right?
So the mainstream media's credibility is shot because of, let's be honest, like, is it a few bad, like, it's these guys, like the guys in the Sunday Business Post, that are writing this rubbish and not correcting the stuff they've written, and not doing due diligence, and not going back and apologizing, is making every other journalist in the country, making a mockery of every other article.
It's making a mockery of them, It is making a mockery. And then what you do, if you look at the creativity of it, Keith, they don't write their own stuff either. It's like one person breaks the story, and then they're so fucking lazy they just copy paste it, and then they'll report on it then again, and then the next person will report on it. Like, they're so lazy, you know, and they're all the same people as well. They're all swimming in the same pond, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you were to look at it pragmatically, and again, thinking of this from a civilization or an ethical perspective, we can't depend on the government. That's pretty clear at this stage. If there was some level of transparency where somebody took it upon themselves as an investigative journalist here, and actually, you know, went to the effort that we went to highlight this. And obviously, we're not considered mainstream. We're considered, I don't know what we're considered, fucking fringe civilian journalists or some bullshit. I had a message off somebody saying, "Are you guys a civilian journalist outfit?" Something like that. I can't remember. I'm paraphrasing. But like, if you had the mainstream guys drill into say, "Wait a second here, this is not the people of Dundrum protesting against immigrants or against asylum seekers or against the IPAS Centre. There's something more sinister at play here."
Yeah.
Right?
And what we've always tried to do is go after the money and see where is the money. Like, follow the money and you'll find the problem.
Yep. And just on like the lazy journalism side, I'm just going to read out 2 headlines for you guys. So, U.S. financier denies he tried to hide involvement in company contracted to IPAS Centre. That's Irish Examiner. And then the Irish Times, U.S. financier denies suggestion he concealed involvement in IPAS firms. It's the exact same headline. And when you read through the article, it's the exact same thing. And you're just like...
But all they're saying is, well, he denies doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
That's the headline.
That's it. And like, if it's an ongoing case, yes, you'd want to be careful of like... it's not witness tampering, it's just like defamation, like, and you can get into like some troubles, but that is stuff you can speak to that is in the public interest.
Yeah, but Oscar, if you drill into the court update, the transcript, it was confirmed by the barrister of the liquidator that he is a 50% stakeholder of that company.
So the news isn't that he's denying it. The news is
he is
US businessman
he lied.
Lies.
US businessman lied because they can prove that he is involved in it.
And also in the articles themselves, that section is at the bottom of the article, which not a lot of people read. And I'm just there like, when I'm looking at it, this is the top line. You've got a US guy who's messed around and then like misattributed funds and lied in court. And it's like, he just maintains that it's untrue, even though you can see, like, again, that's like the last couple of sentences.
You don't really see anything negative about him in the article. Well, can I ask you to do me something? Do you a favor, rewrite that article first for next week.
Okay, sure.
The way it should have been written. Is that cool?
Yeah, I'll go through the
and put his picture on it. And this is the other point as well, Keith. And a lot of people dismiss this.
Is this the guy with milk, by the way?
We put him with Churns. Yeah.
You have that. I think you can flash that up. Let's give people a good look at the guy, right? But like, this is the other point as well, Oscar. The balance is, I look, I want to say, I can speak to my own experience. I have 122 front page articles written about me, and they keep and continually shared pictures of me and Neil on the front page. Even when the article wasn't about us, they would share our pictures over and over and over again, right? There's not one journalist that shared this guy's picture.
Sorry, I know you all want to see the milk churn picture.
Okay.
What's the while Keith's sorting out his take, how did you get on with the freedom of information stuff? Why is that?
So I've sent it across to them, but with the way that FOI works in Ireland, unfortunately, it's going to be about 2 weeks before sent it at the end of last week on Friday, straight after the show. So next week, they have to acknowledge that I've sent their request, and then 2 weeks after that, they hopefully have to provide a response to that under Irish law. Unfortunately, I can't speed up the process in any way. That's just how it works. But if you give me 2 seconds, I'm just going to switch something around here.
So this is the cover of today's show. You see the man with the milk. Jeff Leo milks investors and the Irish taxpayer. Shout out to our Tom for making that beautiful.
Is that him actually? It doesn't even look like him actually. Is that him? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's him. Yeah, I mean, like that's the other thing is like a lot of the time we're like, he's a very hard man to pin down, but I mean that's definitely him.
That's just
intentionally though, right?
Who carries milk? Anyway, back onto the FOI
Who,
stuff.
what?
who carries like jugs of milk around?
Well,
Like,
I-
unless you're a farmer.
No, I think that's
No,
photoshopped, isn't it?
Oh,
Photoshop.
okay.
Yeah.
He didn't arrive at court like that.
I think that picture is he's got his hands around people because he was.
You see
he was-
Oscar looking at that going, typical Irish there, is just walking around with churns of milk. Like he said to me earlier, going, "Oh, why are you not cold? Is that because you're Irish?" It's like, what? Because I don't have a house. I don't have central heating. What are you talking about? Racism.
It's
Oscar,
not.
racism. Pure and simple.
I don't think it's race. I think
It's not race.
more stereotyping than racism. I think,
Stereotype,
right?
yeah.
Um,
And a
I go around in shorts all the time, Oscar, so I can agree with that. I don't feel the cold at all.
Just because we're Irish.
Moving on from accusations of racism.
On that note, let's put in an FOI, and you could. We'll come back to you on the 1st of January on that one, Keith.
Yeah,
I'd like to apologize for saying that Oscar Virdee is racist. He's clearly not a
Okay.
racist man.
Oh, no.
You don't need to. We know it's
And
all
there
in
goes
jest.
my channel.
It's under our satire section.
So was the apology. Sorry, carry on.
And I just want to show you, right. So when we do FOIs in the UK, at least how I got taught in journalism school, thank you, Edinburgh Napier, we get told to use whatdotheyknow.com, which is basically
Whatdotheyknow.com
whatdotheyknow.com. You can
is a website.
It's a website. So how does it work? Basically, you use this site to make your freedom of information request. They walk you through literally the entire thing. They'll give you an email like when you get an update to your response, and then they publish it all online. And the advantage of using something like this is if, let's say, I wanted to look at Enterprise Island, for example, I can search Enterprise Island documents in What Do They Know and see what other people, other journalists,
so
other
other journalists
members.
who have gotten freedom of information.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's available to everybody then.
Yeah, and like even members of the public can access this. It's really easy to use. Unfortunately, there's not a lot on What Do They Know, purely because of like how the site works. And then I'll just like on
There's not a lot on it generally.
not on Enterprise
No,
Island.
obviously not Enterprise Ireland because it's an English /
Yeah.
UK website. We don't have something like this in Ireland. Is that what
Yeah, in Ireland, you guys don't have a centralized database. Al, just on a tech side of things, how hard do you reckon it would be to code a site like this where you have like it's an automated system, as in instead of emailing like I have to do, emailing Enterprise Island directly, the website says, look, you're searching for, I don't know, Enterprise Island MOD. It does the thing for you, publishes the response, and sends it across.
And then that information is available to
Yeah.
looking for it.
Not hard. You just have to make sure that they don't block multiple requests going in, because that it's set up for that. It's set up in that way for a reason. It's to ensure that it's not like you're trying to web scrape, or if it's coming from the same IP all the time or something. So we'd have to look at it in terms of if the forms can be populated programmatically, right? Because I know sometimes they probably just block the site. It's intentional, right? And it's been, that's why I was interested for you to go through the process, because it's intentionally set up to frustrate.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a slow process. And then
And as a matter of fact, just speaking to my own experience, we had one troll guy called Damien Mullally, and I think we had the same issue with him, Keith.
Yeah.
I think somebody contacted me off the record and said they've received close to 200 freedom of information requests from this guy but us.
Wow.
He was sending them in every day. And it turns out he's directly linked into Leo as well through another contact, right? So I think Leo had him on a paid fee as well, you know.
He's some social media guy, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. So he just himself and the guy Greg Canty, they are two particularly venomous individuals that came at us really hard, targeted, and he's still doing it today. Actually, this guy Greg Canty is even tagging onto our latest stuff. He keeps targeting Niamh and the team, you know. So he's just not letting it go, and he wasn't even the creditor of Altada. He's just a scumbag.
Just a guy who is obviously
we were involved in another project with him. We cancelled him because he was useless. So he was due. He sent in 5K invoice for speaking to somebody in a early stage startup, which we were involved in. We told him fuck off, that he's useless. He didn't take the rejection very well.
Yeah,
So-
the other guy, Damien Mully is his name.
Mully, sorry.
He would
Yeah.
have come after me as a presenter for some reason. He just took a dislike to me.
Yeah.
Tried to just
can't imagine why.
Is that a Christmas jumper, Keith? No.
unless Father Christmas plays basketball.
I do like Christmas, and I did have a jumper for today, but I'll save it. I'm falling into. I don't usually do this. I'm trending, so I did buy a Christmas jumper by Guinness.
Hey,
House
well
of
done.
Guinness, so.
Come on.
That's
Where's
good.
your Beamish or Murphy's Christmas jumper?
I'll wear it next week. No, I will be celebrating Thanksgiving, but I will be here, and I will wear it next.
We look forward to it.
Promise. And
We'll get Oscar to wear his helmet again.
I'll wear it for the rest of December then. Just.
Oscar, you can wear your helmet, but put some tinsel on.
Awesome, we'll do. And then just
what helmet are you wearing?
I had the Master Chief helmet from Halo. If you know what that is.
For Halloween, do you remember? Where
You're wearing that for Christmas.
He dressed up as a member of Daft Punk.
I'm really not. Have you seen the Daft Punk sketch where they they're hungry? No? All right, we'll find it next week as and finally next week we'll be on that. Anyway, just briefly back to the FOI stuff.
Yeah.
So what I've actually asked Enterprise Ireland is a list of all companies known to them that have entered examinership from 1st of January 2015 to the present.
Yeah.
The company name, date examinership started, county or region, sector or industry, whether they invested, and if so, how much, and a short summary of their engagement with them, and then a separate one, a list of all Enterprise Ireland's backed investment funds, syndicates, intermediaries, both current and past. For each one, the name of that fund or group, the legal or operating entity, whether it's still active, and when EI started supporting it, and how much money was invested or committed. But I just want to get onto something that's slightly fishy.
You have to expand into liquidation and receivership as well. So it's not just examinership, okay?
Yeah. Okay, we'll do. But even if we get all of these records from them, and we can say, look, Enterprise Ireland put £100 million of taxpayer money into this company that then went bust. Even though that public sector money was used in a private entity thing, there's no way for me to then ask to look at the records of how that money was used. So we just know that money goes into the company, and we don't know what's used with it.
Yeah, but we can do depending on what we unearth, right? There is obviously we've got an AI tech that can get through all of that stuff really quickly, pull together a pattern, and then look at the public accounts of certain entities, and we can just do a litmus test on. You can pull all of the returns from Solar Check and check from the company perspective, because it'll all have to be reported in the annual returns. Right?
Yeah, the information will have to be there somewhere.
Assuming they do the returns every year, unless they are.
That's the only person in the country gets away with that is Jeff Leo, right?
He thought they were done. Come on, man. He thought he had done his books for the last 6 years. He didn't know that he didn't do his.
Yeah, don't make an ass out of you.
The man is an idiot. Come on, give him a break. He doesn't know what he's doing. So get that information, and then I suppose we'll go case by case, and there might be a situation where somebody has lost out or their tech has been stolen from them, and they might want to show us some account details anonymously. So let's follow that thread and see where we end up. You come back with more when you have more. Al, I know you're waiting on a flight. You need to.
No, don't expose where he is.
He's in. He's
coming for Jeff. I'm arriving in Tipperary, Dundrum, as we speak.
Oh dear.
Dundrum International Airport, Tipperary.
I shall speak to you later, guys. Take it easy.
Take care, man. Good luck.
The force be with you.
Is that a Star Wars t-shirt? Cool.
It is a Star Wars t-shirt. Awesome. So,
did you say "May the force be with you"?
Yeah. That's the wrong way round. I can't do the Star Trek thing.
Is that not Nanu Nanu by Mork and Mindy?
No, it's Live Long and Prosper.
Spock,
definitely.
Okay, so then we'll come back to that. Let's get to your. We play like this. I know we played this last week, but let's play it again.
And what you think the biggest barriers are to accessing support? There are some major barriers that survivors face in terms of accessing support, and many of them are stigmatizing beliefs that exist in Ireland, across Europe and across the globe, that people don't think that they will be believed, that they worry that it was their fault, that the society puts a lot of shame and a lot of blame on the victim. And we really need to turn that around, and we need to ensure that survivors know that they will be believed, that it was never their fault, and that Dublin Rape Crisis Centre is the place that they need to go to get help and healing.
So,
Sorry about that. I know you meant to give a little warning.
no, I'll do the
beforehand.
warning now. So before we begin on this segment in depth, I just want to give a brief trigger warning. This segment will contain conversations of sexual violence, trauma, and the experiences of survivors. If you need support, the National Rape Crisis Helpline is available 24 hours a day on 1-800-77-88-88. So last week, I was looking at, no, for the past couple of weeks, I've been looking at the gap between the reality of sexual violence in Ireland and the system that is supposed to protect people. We've published a piece on MOTH News called Sexual Violence in Ireland and the UK, One Conviction, Thousands Ignored.
Yeah.
That headline is bumped for a reason, purely for the fact that there are thousands of rape cases, sexual assault cases, everything under the sun that occur like every single day,
Yeah.
pretty much. However, there is very few convictions, and the statistics are alarming and terrifying. So rather than just keep coming back and saying, look, the statistics are bad, I went and spoke to Rachel Moreau from Dublin Rape Crisis Centre, and that she's
From the
their
Dublin Rape Crisis Centre.
Dublin Rape
Rachel.
Crisis
Okay,
Centre,
yeah.
and she is their chief executive. So she told me in the first year that they ever started, which is in 1979, they took 76 calls.
Mm,
Last year, they took close to 23,000.
right.
So they run the national helpline of the number I just quoted, and they provide thousands of therapy appointments each year. That full interview is going to be available for you to watch sometime early next week. We just had to wait for Rachel to sign off on it. So I just want to bring a few statements
Headlines.
out of that interview
Yeah.
just before it goes fully live. So Keith, for you, what do you think is the biggest barrier for survivors when it comes to reporting?
Well, I mean, I know that I know that it's a big deal for especially women, but men as well. It's mostly women, but men do are assaulted as well, and I think it's the intrusion into their life. I know that anecdotally, I know that friends that I know would say things to friends who've been assaulted. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Because once you report this, it's a very invasive process, and it can take over. It can, for me, the assault is almost made worse by what you have to go through to get a conviction. But personally, I feel like if I was sexually assaulted, I'm not sure I would go to the authorities to report it.
Yep, that's pretty much exactly what Rachel was saying throughout the entire interview. And if we look at her verbatim answer, she said it was a fear of not being believed that is the biggest barrier. And survivors also worry that it is in some way their fault, so the occurrence happening to them.
Yeah.
And you're very right in terms of how invasive the process is. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but we discussed it a bit before going on air. When survivors find the courage to go up to
report the crime.
report the
Yeah,
crime.
I mean, I have interviewed people.
Yeah.
I've interviewed victims of abuse before, and they have explained the process that they have to go through once they report the crime. But there's other stuff that that we spoke about that I wasn't aware of.
So what? On that note, what do you make of the fact that defense teams can request personal material like therapy notes and journals?
Yeah, I think that's an absolute disgrace. I don't even know if the word disgrace is strong enough. I think it's an invasion of privacy. I think it's victim blaming. I think that I'm astounded that it's a thing. So that if I report a sexual assault, and I'm saying this man assaulted me or this woman assaulted me, when that goes to court, that person who I say assaulted me can request access to my personal journals and if I've been to see a therapist, the notes from that therapist.
Yep, via their defense team. But yes, they are fully entitled to that, and the courts have to comply with that. So that's putting your entire life on show in court and having every minute detail that you've ever written about yourself or has been written about you cross-examined to try and create some kind of victim blaming myth, which is absolutely wrong. So I think that needs to change in the court process.
Did Rachel speak about that directly, or she just mentioned it?
She's mentioned it. She thinks that the process should change. She did mention that there is some good parts of supporting survivors. So there's this new police section within the Gardaí called the Divisional Protective Service Units, and they have made a big difference. But one of the most things that helps that we keep coming back to throughout, that Neil Giles spoke about as well with trafficking victims and also with victims of sexual violence, is messages from survivors to other survivors is one of the best ways to encourage people to get support, because it's that idea that you are not alone.
Not alone.
So it's developing that community, reaching out, and then going through the court process as it is at the moment is terrible. It needs to be improved. It needs to be more trauma informed. Victims need to be believed rather than shunned.
Shamed.
Yeah,
and a lot of it is to do with shame. I mean, you know, as soon as you get to the Garda station or the police station to report, you know, the assault, there's the thing called the rape kit.
Yep.
Which you will have to, you know, they'll want to look at your clothing. They'll want to examine you. They'll want to. For me, that's further traumatizing on top of an already terrible trauma, and they'll want to examine you very invasively.
Yep, and that it is an inherently traumatic process. Like, the tests are invasive. I'm not sure if in medical science they could be less invasive in order to get DNA. You're often not going to be believed is the main thing. So I think that we need to change the judicial process. But
what could we do though? Because I'm thinking, like, if it was the other way around, if I went in to report an assault on me, until the perpetrator of the crime is found guilty, he's not the perpetrator of a crime. Okay,
correct.
He's innocent until proven guilty. So it's not like I can say Johnny Five Bellies assaulted me. The Gardaí can't then go and lift him and take him in and do an invasive examination on his body parts and his clothing, because that can't happen.
No.
They can't arrest him, can they?
I think it
like,
depends.
what
on
would
the
it
amount of
take for them
evidence.
to arrest him straight away before he's had time to destroy evidence? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like an impossibility almost, and I'm not making excuses.
I know that, like, if there is, so for example, in the UK, there's this company that's started called myenough.com. Some of the work that they do is really good.
Am I enough?
No, myenough.com.
My enough, okay.
So what they offer is a at-home self-rape kit, as in, like, so you believe you've been raped or you've been sexually assaulted. You can use that kit at home to gather evidence yourself, and it's less invasive. However, it's not entirely 100% admissible in courts. Some have taken it, so it's a good idea to get if you think that you're at risk. But what services like Dublin Rape Crisis Centre do and other rape crisis centres is they will accompany you to these appointments for screening.
Okay.
So we need to have more investment in areas like these. So there's each individual who believes they've been a victim of sexual assault is believed, and that they can have a chaperone and have some kind of person helping them and in their corner. Because when I was speaking to Rachel throughout their entire interview, she says one of the things that gets her out of bed every day pretty much is that everybody working in this area really wants to help people. And here's a statement as well that I'd like you to consider is she says sexual violence doesn't happen in a vacuum. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that when you look at cases, especially in Ireland, when the judges or solicitors read out letters of support for the alleged perpetrator of the crime, say for instance, you'll find a lot, like we have a thing, you know, hurling and football in Ireland, so you've got these GAA clubs, Gaelic Athletic Association clubs, and there's been many cases where a player, former player, somebody involved in the, you know, somebody who's a known male in the parish, maybe played football at one point, is, you know, you might call him a jock maybe, or, you know, he's just somebody around, and people, and then you see that he's got these letters of support. He's got these letters from, you know, this guy from the local GAA club. The parish priest has written a letter saying, well, he's not that bad a lad. those are the people that we need to also put pressure on to stop writing those letters of support. You can write a letter of support afterwards if he's found not guilty, or do you know what I mean? Like, that can all happen afterwards. But to try and minimize her experience by saying, well, look, he's a good, upstanding member of the community, and he clearly just made a mistake. We don't, we actually, what you're kind of saying is we don't really believe he's capable of this. So when you say in a vacuum, is that what you're talking about? Like, because what I see is upstanding men in the community supporting these other men within the community when it comes to a woman reporting a crime, and especially when it's a sexual assault.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
100%, definitely. And then also,
and the Gardaí don't do enough about their own, and the police in the UK don't do enough about their own as well.
Met Police specifically, a lot
they
of the
often protect men over women.
Yeah, so sexual violence doesn't happen in a vacuum. It means that, like, it happens online first,
Yeah.
then it happens in the street,
Okay.
and then it happens to, like, as you said, like, people just saying, oh no, I know this guy, he would never do something like that.
So we're responsible because we turn away, because we don't believe victims, because it happens. And it's also those comments that are made online.
And then I just want to speak a bit about these comments, and you've mentioned it yourself, like victim blaming myths. So for my major project that I talked about a bit earlier, I did a lot of research into gender-based violence in nightlife. And one of the key things that I found is that since we've been doing articles around sexual violence, since 1979, there have been researchers going out and saying, look, this creates a victim blaming myth. So what typically happens when a sexual violence case is reported, i.e. a woman says she's been raped, she'll be put into one of two classes. If she's white, pretty, and blonde, along that stereotypical victim, she'll be placed as a virgin, and the media will be like, oh no, it's so terrible that this has happened to this person. Instead, if the woman is of color in a profession that is less than normal, or no,
outside the
people,
respectable,
exactly,
yeah,
or if she has been drinking on a night out, anything like that, anything under the substance.
What were you doing? Or if why were you wearing what you wore? Why were you out that late?
Exactly.
All of those, we victim shame all the time.
We victim blaming, victim shaming, and it creates this myth that person won't be believed because somebody will read that article and say, like, oh look, this has happened to this person because they were drinking. I was out drinking. I was assaulted. I don't want the media to portray me as a victim.
Yeah, because I know how that will look.
I don't want to be cast as a vamp.
Yeah.
And this kind of reporting has been going on since we've been doing it. And it's still done today, but a lot of more of Sunday Times kind of articles. Yeah. So when we also say like sexual violence doesn't happen in a vacuum, we also need, as the media, to shift the blame from the victim to the perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator. We should be commenting on what the alleged perpetrator has done, not what the alleged.
We should just be making it as difficult as we can for men who want to commit these crimes commit these crimes.
Yes, and the small good thing though is that Rachel sincerely believes that, even working in Dublin Rape Crisis Centre day in, day out, she believes sexual violence isn't inevitable, i.e. through education, through awareness courses, through better prosecution, through everything, like a whole system revamp. Hopefully we'll be able to completely eliminate sexual violence on the streets of Ireland, which I think we should try and expand, and it's something that I'm going to try and help with.
Excellent, good. I think here's a little litmus test for you as a man. If you think otherwise, you should probably check yourself. I believe that a woman should be able to walk through the city centre at 3 a.m. naked if she wants.
100%. Like, you should have the freedom.
And nothing untoward should happen to her. She shouldn't even be catcalled. And if there's anything in you that thinks I'm wrong about that, or that's incorrect, then you should really check, maybe culturally what you're being taught, what you believed, what you think as a man, what your role as a man is, and all this. We as men need to be allies, and that's where the vacuum is, that men aren't supporting women in these cases. Very often we find that men support men, or worse, stay silent. So if anything about my statement that a woman should be able to walk through the city centre at 3 a.m. absolutely naked, absolutely plastered if she wants, and nothing untoward should happen to her. If you don't think if you've got a problem with that, then you really just need to check yourself.
And just to add to that, also, any man.
I'm not saying you're a bad person, but just it's something to think about. If in you think, no, I don't really. If you don't agree with that, just think about it. Have a look at what your upbringing or culture or whatever makes you think about women. Do you know what I mean? It's not an accusatory thing.
And just to end with, also sexual violence does happen to men. If you have been assaulted, please reach out to services like Dublin Rape Crisis Centre. They will be there for you. They will listen and they will take your case seriously. Like, we need to stop believing men as well. They're a lesser percentage of sexual violence claims. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And men should be allowed to walk through the city centre. See, that's even problematic. Because I'm like, no, that can't happen. We're not the issue here at all. And also, me and you aren't the experts here. Let's swiftly move on. So we were talking earlier about the IPAS centres, money being made, hand over fist. And the great thing about MOTH, and when you get to a certain point, when you set up a platform like this, you'll start getting people coming to you and going, have you seen this? I think this might be of interest to you. So I'd like to talk about a festival that happens in Ireland. You won't have heard of it yourself, but it's called Beyond the Pale. I would liken Beyond the Pale, the festival, to Glastonbury, but on a much smaller scale. So it's a music and arts festival. And the thing about Beyond the Pale is Beyond the Pale was looking like it wasn't ever going to happen again, because they basically run out of money, they were in debt, and somebody came in and saved the festival Beyond the Pale. Now, so let's talk about this. Most people know Beyond the Pale as a beautiful, creative, well-run summer festival in Glendalough. Music, art, wellness, the whole thing. But behind the scenes this year, the festival collapsed financially. Then something interesting happened. A new group of investors arrived. A company called Fuel took over the festival.
Yep.
And the message was, don't worry, the festival is saved. We'll get things back on track. Who are Fuel? Let's look at that. Where is the money coming from? Did suppliers actually get paid after this rescue? And why is a company involved in asylum accommodation contracts, buying an arts festival? Because the last piece is the part that the public was never told and aren't aware of, the IPAS connection. Okay, and a well-run IPAS centre, well, I don't have a problem. And I'm not saying that these guys aren't running their IPAS centres well, but what I'm talking about is transparency. And when people look at their music and arts festival, and when artists look at playing certain music and arts festival, are they aware of who exactly, where the money is coming from, where the money could be coming from, and who's actually running the show? And I think that's really important. And also, like, when this festival was bailed out, were the people who who hadn't been paid, were they paid for their services? We're not sure. And I did contact, so let me just put this up. Somebody put this statement up on their Instagram, and it was removed within 24 hours. Mm-hmm. It's one thing losing a 5-figure sum on an event which caused a year of genuine mental suffering, immense stress, anxiety, worry, and almost caused us to liquidate our business. But it's a whole other one seeing the new owners go against their word of including those creditors who stood by them, instead deciding to take our very concept and get somebody else to do it instead the next year after radio silent and disengagement. Once they pulled this through insolvency, shameless stuff, so many people left, thousands out of pocket, pushed aside, and their ideas stolen as well as their money. These are long-time industry heavyweights and should do better. So they're talking about the people who bailed out the festival and didn't pay the people who were owed money, who had been there, offering services at the festival in good faith, be they artists, be they creators, be they vendors, whatever. These have all missed out, and not only have they not been invited back in to make up their money like next year, the organizers are bringing in other people to mimic what they did. Do you know what I mean? And so then they just never have to pay them, and that's the problem. There's only when you work in Ireland, your business is in Ireland, there's only so many gigs available, and most people won't speak up because then they won't get the gig. And a lot of these small festivals are connected in some way, and it could be a thing. Well, if you don't play this festival, you also won't be playing those festivals. If you don't supply the food for this festival, you also won't be supplying the food for those. So it's almost like the smaller businesses don't have any. They're going to stay quiet. They're not going to speak out.
It sounds a lot like that. You said it was yourself before that Ireland has a problem of not having whistleblowers.
Yeah.
it sounds like the same problem again, but this time in the food and entertainment industry, where people are being taken advantage of, and out of fear of losing more business, people aren't saying anything.
Yeah, so we can look at. Let me just share this. I know we're running over time, but I think this is important. I think it's important because it's me. I'm really important. But no, I think this is important for like where we're going with the people who, with the money, who are taking over the arts festivals and transparency, and they're, you know, how they're linked. So you've got artists like Caribou, Soulwax, and Father John Misty, and they're set to be on. They've been booked to perform at Beyond the Pale in 2026, and this is 2026 will be the first year that they're under new ownership. So let me just see if I can share that. So these are very big names. You've heard of some of these, have you? Are you a fan of Caribou or Soulwax or
100%.
Father John Misty? No, he's not actually a real priest. You know that?
I definitely knew that.
You knew he wasn't a real priest?
No, I think the only Irish band I know is Flogging Molly.
They're not Irish.
I don't know any Irish
They're
bands.
American. You know U2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What's their big hit?
Miracle of Joey Ramone.
The Miracle of Joey Ramone. The big hit by U2. You know your music, man. You know your Irish.
I got this.
So we have recognizes Imro's best small live music festival of the year. Beyond the Pale offers a great mix of international talent. A great mix. That's a very Irish article. It offers a great mix of international talent, Irish favourites, and breakthrough artists. For those night owls amongst us, they also have plenty of late night areas for anyone who wants to keep the fun going all day long. I think this. I think Joe Duddy might have just reprinted the press release. Caribou, Soulwax, Father John Misty, Bird, Groove Armada, and Jamie XX have been revealed as some of the performers for Beyond the Pale. What makes Beyond the Pale so special is there's something for everyone to do. Who wrote this? While it of course offers outstanding musical performances, it is so much more than just a music festival. Did you know that?
This was written with.
If you were thinking it was just a music festival, it's so much more. Beyond the Pale has a unique, not just a blend, a unique blend of world-class music, arts, food, and wellness, providing a full festival experience for all of everyone to enjoy.
No, this just sounds like it was written with AI.
I think it was written with it. Yeah,
like
I'm actually, yes, I think you're right. I was like, who wrote this press release? AI. And then and what they sent it to Joe Duddy, and Joe Duddy just printed it for bottom. So what is the issue with Beyond the Pale? Let me just get to the point here. The issue for me with Beyond the Pale is none of what they've done is illegal, right? The IPAS, but there's an IPAS connection here. Fuel and companies directly connected to fuel have been involved in the world of IPAS accommodation, the system the state uses to house people seeking asylum. This isn't speculation. This is based on publicly verifiable corporate records, CRO documents, and reporting on who operates certain centers. So we have a situation where, on one hand, a company profits from state contracts to house vulnerable people. Again, and on the other hand, the same company now owns a premium arts and culture festival. Again, none of this is illegal, but it's absolutely about ethics, transparency, and values, especially where taxpayer money is involved. And frankly, the public has a right to know who owns the cultural spaces that they fund and attend, because you're going to buy tickets because you want to see these.
Can you just reread your top line there? I think it was. So you have a company that was set up.
On one hand, a company profits from state contracts to house vulnerable people. On the other hand, the same company now owns a premium arts and cultural festival.
Yeah. So you have. Does that not strike you as ethically massively wrong? Profiting off somebody's misfortune of being a vulnerable person who's had to leave their country, who's like maybe fleeing war, maybe has lost family members, and you have a company profiting off them. I understand the need for government contracts to house people like this. I don't understand the need for a profit.
So I get what you're saying. Just that line of a company profiting off people who are escaping war, famine, violence.
This shouldn't be a for-profit industry. It should be a not-for-profit industry.
Boom. Mic drop.
I think they're expensive.
I still have to. We can't drop the mics. They're attached to a thing. Look, again, none of this is illegal, right? But it is absolutely about ethics, transparency, and values, especially where taxpayers' money is involved. And frankly, the public has a right to know who owns the cultural spaces they fund and attend. So if you're going to buy tickets, you need to know. And if you want to buy tickets and go to this festival and you're fine with all of this, then that's absolutely fine. But you should know. I don't really want to get into the details of it, but apparently there's rumors that some people weren't paid, and there was a post, as I said, on Instagram that was taken down. But the bigger question is, if a company is financially strong enough to take over a festival, if it is financially strong enough to run state-funded accommodation contracts, why can't it pay people who worked at the festival last year? Why can't they pay them the debtors? If you're going to buy into a festival and you want to do the right thing, and you're into culture and you're into people and you're into arts, then you need to pay the people who supply these things. Artists need to be paid. Artisan, crafters need to be paid. The people who build the little stages to make the whole thing kind of kooky and kind of weird and kind of festively, they need to be paid because they're artists. And if you're out there as a company who supporting and promoting the arts and making money from these artists, bands, musicians, food vendors, then you need to properly support them. Are you just going to take the money that you earn from the ticket sales and, well, that's it? What's the plan? To us, this is a legitimate public interest question. Why does it matter? Because Ireland's culture sector is full of people working on thin margins: freelancers, crew, security, food vendors, installers, stage workers. When a festival collapses, these people, ordinary workers, are left unpaid. Mostly, we're not saying this is the case in this instance, that sometimes it happens that these are the ones that will be left unpaid. And when a company with state-linked revenue steps in to save the festival, it creates an expectation, right? Yeah, the expectation should be, you'd imagine, if taxpayers' money is part of your wider business model, the public deserves the full picture of how you operate, and cultural workers deserve to know if the new owners are going to treat them fairly. The final question, here's the uncomfortable part, and the part we'll begin to start asking, and we will be asking again: why is the Irish state so willing to award enormous accommodation contracts to companies that are linked to collapsed events with unpaid suppliers? Possibly. This matters because IPAS contracts are worth tens of millions, which they shouldn't be in the first place. They should be a not-for-profit situation, yeah? But this is where we find ourselves. Festivals run on thin margins, yeah?
Yep.
Tens of millions.
Yep.
Versus a festival run on thin margins. And companies can pick and choose which side of their business gets prioritized. If everything is above board, then let the owners answer the questions. But until then, we'll keep asking them. And that's it. So if you're heading for Beyond the Pale this summer, enjoy it, and go with your eyes open. But who owns the festival? Know where the money comes from, and know who's still waiting to be paid for the last one. Ask the person you're buying the ticket from, the company, what's the story? Have you paid last year's suppliers and vendors and creators? Because transparency isn't a threat to culture, it's part of how we protect it. Mic drop. Boom.
We need to get some fake mics.
We need to get some mics that we can drop. That's it for me.
That's it for
Any
me.
questions?
Nope.
No? You sure?
Yep.
You seem a bit unsure of... You think I did a good job?
I think you did a great job.
Thanks, man.
I just really don't like the idea of profiting off people who
Yeah, you seem to
are
be
refugees.
privately seething there.
Yeah, I'm privately seething. I don't think that's like, but hey, money.
Well, I mean, seethe publicly. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Absolutely seethe.
They just shouldn't be allowed to profit off something like that. And I've got family who work in the entertainment business. I've got family, like my cousin is.
Some of my best friends are in the entertainment business.
Nice. Oh yeah, wait, we are in there. Like as in my uncle's
a
guitarist and does lots of screens for like country.
All right, stop bragging.
But like these guys, they work hard. They deserve to get paid, and they have to. And also, if you're putting like a screen down, or you're going to a festival, and you're a small business, you've turned down going somewhere else because you'd said, "Oh, this is going to give me a bigger profit margin."
Yeah.
And then you're having, oh no, actually I'm getting no income. So not only did I lose income on that day that I didn't work, I haven't been paid for the work that I've already done. And that's just completely unethical. And you just have to take it to the supplier. And I recommend those smaller businesses, if there's enough of them, try and file a class action.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's good that people who are making a lot of money off IPAS centres, like millions, are investing their money back into the arts and culture. I think that's a great idea. Just make sure you've invested and do the right thing.
Pay people.
And pay people. We're not saying they didn't.
We're not saying allegedly.
So I've got a weird twitch in my eye. I want to leave you with this story, if I can find it. And then we can go. Sorry, I have to apologize to the guys.
A man's been
A
fined.
man has been fined for pretending to be a ghost and shouting "woo" at people in a cemetery in Portsmouth. So I just think this is another story that bears highlighting.
Can we not have fun anymore?
Did you see the guy in Australia who went to court because he put googly eyes on this blue blob famous art
Yeah.
piece? Yeah. So a man has been fined for pretending to be a ghost and shouting "woo" at people in a cemetery in Portsmouth.
I want to know how much he got fined. Maybe it was £666.
A lot.